go to the chat option, just type down any questions you have to. We're just waiting for a few more members to come in. I think there are 12 more, 5 or 6 more students. I think they'll be here in 2-3 minutes. Anyone who has joined this link via external email address, just use your IUB email address to join. Then it will be easy for me to take the attendance as well. I don't have to admit you every time you send me a request. Okay, so just use your IUB email address to join this meeting. And what else? Just mute your microphones. Everyone should keep your microphones on mute. Okay, let's just wait a few more seconds. Okay, guys, welcome to Fin 401. I think there's a lot of students already here. Let's just do a mic test. Just go to the chat box and just tell me, just type in yes if you can hear my mic. Just type in yes, everyone. On the chat, just type in yes. Okay, okay, okay. Good, good, good. Everyone type in yes, please. Okay. Okay. Yep, and that should be good enough. Okay, so that means the mic is clearly working. So last week I started off chapter or topic 4, Basel. A lot of you were on vacation. Well, you were in big vacation mood. None of you were there, but those of you who were there in class, we did some basics on chapter number or topic number 4, which is Basel. This is a part of your midterm syllabus. And basically, you're going to have a quiz on Tuesday, and this chapter will be included. But whatever I teach today, the new topics that I teach today will not be included. So whatever I've taught until last week is included in your quiz 2, which is day after tomorrow. Same as your quiz 1. I'll give you 5 MCQ. and two short question or two math question. And given the results on quiz number one, which was very shocking and very saddening, quiz two, I'm trying to make it easier. So please try to get some mark, okay? Because it's a 400 level course, you know. So it's a very difficult course, I understand, but you have to study harder if you want to do better. Okay, so let's start our topic today. It's called Basel or Basel Accord. So what is Basel? Basel is basically a banking report that each and every banks need to submit to the central bank every single week. In every single week, all the commercial banks that you see, from cities to Exims to EBL to Southeast Bank to Standard Chartered, HSBC, multinational, local, Sonali Bank, the government banks, all the banks that we have in our financial industry, they need to submit this report to the central bank every single week. Okay, so if you just move on, let's drop this down here. So we started off with some basic information last class, which was basically what is the Basel Accord. It was a Basel's Committee of Banking Supervision. They decided to come up with these reporting standards and on financial regulations and capital risk and market risks. And we looked at important dates as to when was Basel formed, uh, and what is the asset risk categories. And we looked at the three pillars, which we'll go further in today. Um, why there are three types of reporting: Basel 1, 2, and Basel 3. So basically, Basel 1 and was introduced in the 80s, 2 in the 90s, and 3 in the late 2009 after the Lehman Brothers collapse during the global financial crisis in 2008. So after that, we basically looked at what is Tier 1 capital, Tier 2 capital. I'm just going to repeat in short. Tier 1 capital is basically the bank's core capital or the owner's equity section of the bank's balance sheet. Common stock, preferred stock, your retained earnings, your disclosed reserves, all of those. Our capitals are called Tier 1 capital, which the owners of the bank, they raise these capital and then they plow it back, retain it from their profit. And Tier 2 capital are undisclosed capital. These are subordinate term debts. Subordinate term debts are debts you can convert to basically assets later on, or convertible debts. You can convert into assets later on. Sorry, like assets like equity. So, for example, convertible debts, I think you studied that in FIN 460, 461. You can convert bonds into equity. So those are called convertible debts. Hybrid financial products and other items that make up funds. Tier 2, these are all called Tier 2 capitals. Even the loan loss reserves that we have, those are included in your Tier 2 capital as well. So you can just read these slides to understand what is Tier 1 and Tier 2 capital. I'm not going to repeat more into, I'm just going to go through the basics. Then we looked into risk-weighted assets. So every single asset of a bank has risks. So what are the assets of the bank? Bank loans, commercial loans, government investment in government bonds. So investment in government bonds have zero risk. So as a result, the under the Basel III, the U.S. government debt and securities are given risk weights of zero, because literally it's no risk. It's government money. You're in government bond you're investing in. The money is absolutely safe. You'll get a fixed return. While residential and mortgages not guaranteed by the government are weighted anywhere between 35 to 200%. It can be 50%, it can be 75%, depending on the risk. Usually a real estate loan would be 50% and a commercial loan to a business would be 200%, because anytime the business can shut down. Whereas in a real estate, if you fail to pay the loan for the flat that you bought, the bank can literally seize your flat. Like a car loan, the risk would be 75, slightly riskier because the car's value goes down. But the bank can seize your car if you fail to, give the loan. So as a result, all these assets will have a risk weight added to it. So how do we calculate risk-weighted assets? Say, for example, in a bank balance sheet, you have cash $1,000 at 0% risk, treasury security 0%, repurchase agreement 20%, because these are bank money invested in other banks, or the government can have a repurchase agreement with the open market operation as well. Interbank deposits are basically the excess of reserves that you have in a bank balance sheet that can be loaned out to other banks overnight for an interest. They're also 20%. These are pretty safe. But you can see commercial loans, 100% risk. Family residential mortgage, 50%, So how do we calculate risk-weighted asset? Please follow the slide. Very important. You multiply the asset, which is 1,000, 2,000, with the risk weight, 0% or 0. See, so 1,000 cash multiplied by 0, 2,000 multiplied by 0. So for the repurchase agreement, 4,000 multiplied by 20%. For the interbank deposit, it's 3,000 multiplied by 20%. And then you multiply the cost with the risk. And in the end, you get a total of 9,400. That is your risk-weighted asset. So this has to be calculated under the Basel III reporting standards. After that, we looked at capital adequacy ratio. So capital adequacy ratio is basically the ratio of your tier 1, tier 2 capital to your risk-weighted asset. So basically, it ensures that banks have a proportionate amount of capital on hand in relation to risk-weighted asset. And the capital adequacy ratio in Basel III is 8%. Tier 1 and Tier 2 adequacy must be 10.5. However, in Bangladesh, according to the Bangladesh Bank, it has to be minimum 10%. So whatever your risk-weighted asset is, 10% must be financed by Tier 1 and Tier 2 capital, and the rest by your deposit. So you have to understand that deposits will not come in this ratio. Deposit is not a capital. So bonds are capital because there are assets that can be converted to equity as well. Loan reserves are a minus on your assets, so that will be included in Tier 2. And Tier 1 is basically your owner equity section of your balance sheet, your reserves, your common equity, preferred equity, your statutory reserves, your retained earnings, all kinds of those items. And they will be divided by your risk-weighted asset, and then you calculate your capital adequacy ratio. So this is the question that I will give you in your midterm. You'll get a question just like this. You'll have a balance sheet, bank balance sheet. I'll give you the cash, repurchase, municipal bonds, and everything. And I'll give you the liabilities, bank deposits, subordinate, and I'll give you the owner's equity section, common stock, surplus, and retained earning. I will give you the risk weight. You can clearly see the risk weights over here, okay? The 0.2, 0.2, 0.5. I'll give you the risk weight that will be given, but I will not give you T1 and T2. You have to figure out which one is T1 and T2. So you can see in T1, it's the common equity section, the common stock, surplus, retained earning. These are all T1 because they are taken from the owner's equity section of a balance sheet. Subordinate debt, convertible debt, these are all T2 capital. The only T2 capital on the asset side will be allowance for loan. The allowance for loan, because these are reserves, loan loss reserves. So this will be a T2 capital. And from this, you have to calculate the capital adequacy ratio. And this is the calculation. If I go to the next slide, what's wrong? If I go to the next slide, you can see the calculation is given. So this is the capital adequacy ratio. So first, you can do it under this way for risk-weighted asset, or you can also do it like this, in one line. You can just write the cost and multiply it by the weights and calculate the risk-weighted assets, So I've shown this table just for understanding. So the cash, repurchase, municipal bond, just write it on top over here and then write the weights, multiply the cost with the weight. So 1,000 multiplied by 0 is 0, 1,500 multiplied by 0.2 is 300, and 3,000 multiplied by 0.2 is 600. Just like that, write down all your asset costs, all your risk weight, and multiply them, and then you calculate your risk-weighted asset. The only thing that will be missing from risk-weighted asset is allowance for loan losses. This is a Tier 2 capital, so this won't be included in the risk-weighted asset calculation. So once you've calculated that, and then you have to calculate the Tier 1 capital. So you see common stock, surplus, returning are Tier 1, subordinate debt and allowance for loan losses are Tier 2. That I will not mention, that you have to figure out, okay? You'll have to read the slides and understand which one is tier 1 and tier 2. So after you've calculated tier 1 total, tier 2 total, and your risk-weighted asset, just calculate the ratio. Tier 1 plus tier 2 divided by your total risk-weighted asset. Our tier 1 capital is 850, tier 2 450, and total risk-weighted asset is, I can clearly see here, it's 9600. So the capital adequacy ratio will be 14%. The minimum ratio for Bangladesh is 10%. Now, before I move on, just type in any question if you have. Just go to the chat box. If you have any question, just type in. Does anyone have any question on the CAR ratio that I just discussed? No question? No question. Okay, moving on then. If there's no further question, so that was capital adequacy ratio. A bank has to calculate this every single week and submit this to the central bank as a part of its reporting. Then the central bank can understand whether this current bank has enough tier 1, tier 2 capital in order to meet its risk or mitigate its risk, because every single loan has a risk of its own, given a home loan or an agriculture loan or bank, stuff like that. So in order to meet this risk, does the bank have enough capital? That is explained in capital adequacy ratio. So why is capital adequacy needed? Number one, for regulatory purpose of the Bangladesh Bank. Okay, it is help to protect the depositors' money from bad investment and losses, because you are taking the deposits from whom? People like us, retailers. So when the bank take these deposits, they issue these deposits as loan. So all of a sudden, if all your loans default, do you have enough capital to pay some money back? And that money is taken from the owner's equity and paid off to the depositors. But then again, the bank will try to collect this money accordingly from the profiteering loans and profiting sides of the business, and then pay up the depositors. So it ensures a regulatory compliance, okay, that the ratio, the 10% ratio of capital adequacy is met. Now, why is it important for banks? It ensures smooth functioning of bank with regulatory compliance to attract confidence of investors, because bank has to issue the financial statement every single year. If you look into your handout 3, I think I've given on the last few pages, there is a capital adequacy ratio for I think EBL. So they're above 10%. So as a result, people now have confidence. Since the capital adequacy ratio is above 10%, that means they have enough capital. If I deposit my money here, my money will be safe, even though it's being issued as loan. No problem. So it is also used to attract the confidence of investors, depositors, and lenders and other stakeholders, and to keep employees' morale up, because employees need to check whether the bank has enough money to pay my salary. So it's a very important ratio and needs to be calculated and reported to the central bank every single week. And when the financial statements are issued for yearly, quarterly, or semi-annually, the information will be given there as well. So this is a repetition of how it's measured. So we just looked into CRAR, or capital adequacy ratio. Capital risk adequacy ratio is the same thing. Tier 1 plus tier 2 divided by your risk weighted asset, and the minimum requirement is 10%. Both at solo and consolidated level means for tier 1 minimum is 6%, and for tier 2 4%. Combine these two, it has to be 10% of your risk weighted asset. The second one is a leverage ratio. Leverage ratio is basically like a debt ratio. You studied in FIN 201. Your total debt divided by your total asset. Or here they just turned it upside down. It's basically tier 1 capital divided by your total exposure. So total exposure is basically balance sheet exposures that you have. That will be given in the question. The bank can have different types of balance sheet exposure, like currency risk, because the bank is continuously dealing with LCs, with foreign currency at the current market rate. So every single day the rates are going up and down. So the exposure also increases. Every 2-3 months later the interest rate goes up and down. So these are balance sheet and off balance sheet exposures that a bank is exposed to. These information are not always public. So when you join a bank, they will give you this private information. You have to calculate the ratio and submit the report to the central bank. In your exam, I will give you tier one capital. If I give you leverage ratio, I'll give you tier one capital. I will give you the total exposure value, and you just have to calculate leverage ratio. So once you calculate leverage ratio and you get 3% or more, it's good. Or I might give you the calculation of two banks, and you see which bank is higher. Then I'll tell you which of the following bank is adequately capitalized in terms of leverage ratio. So you have to choose the highest value. Okay. Any questions in this slide? Please type it down on the chat section. I'm not going to repeat this topic in the next class. Next class, I'm going to come. I'm just going to do a review. I'm just going to take your quiz and then off you go, because you have to study, go home and study for your midterm next week. Next week is your midterm. So I'm going to give you 10 MCQs and 4 short question on math. It's going to be 30 marks. I'm going to discuss that after we finish off today's slide. Any question, guys? Leverage ratio, need to choose the higher one. Yes, you have to choose the higher one, because the higher the ratio means you have better. If you look at the ratio, what's on top? Tier 1 capital. What is tier 1 capital? It's basically the owner's equity. So do you have enough owner's equity to mitigate all the bank's exposure, which is off balance sheet, or on balance sheet, foreign currency, or any kind of risks that you have. So higher the ratio, better for the bank. Okay, moving on. 3% is the minimum, correct? So moving on, very important part, 3 pillars of Basel. Very important question. So if you ever go for a bank interview, they'll ask you, if you have any banking knowledge, what do you have, what have you learned? If you talk about Basel, and if you talk about some sections of the bank balance sheet, and there's another topic that I will teach after final, then guaranteed you will be selected for further interview process, and if you're lucky enough, you'll have a good selection. So these are the 3 pillars of Basel. The first pillar is minimum capital requirement, which we just covered. Minimum capital requirement is basically capital adequacy ratio, your leverage ratio. Do you have enough capital to meet your debts or meet your risk? Okay. So that is covered in the first pillar, which is the minimum capital requirement, or MCR. This is the first pillar of Basel. So everything we just discussed regarding CAR ratio, leverage ratio is included in MCR. The second one is supervisory review process. And the third one is market discipline. So let's look at pillar 2 and 3 accordingly. So pillar 2 is supervisory review process. Okay. It addresses 2 issues. Number one, to ensure that the banks have adequate capital to support all risk in their business, and to encourage banks to develop and use better risk management techniques in monitoring and mitigating their risk. So you have to basically supervise all your loans. You know, where is the loan money? How is the loan is going to be paid up? The business that the bank is giving loan to, does he have enough profit? Does he have enough sales? Does he have previous loans? What is his credit rating? The person who is trying to get a car loan, does he have a job or a business? You know, uh, has he got previous car loans as well? Does he have a current home loan as well? Should I give him this loan based on his previous loan? So that is what you're doing. You're developing and using risk management techniques to give loans to give good quality loans to good quality clients. As a result, the money of the bank is safe, the depositors' money will be safe. So all of this falls under the supervisory review process. Any question on supervisory review process? You just have to read the slides. That's it. No question. Okay, very good. No question? Good. Moving on. So that's basically pillar 2, supervise. You supervise all your loans, you supervise your deposits, and you find out risk management and risk mitigating techniques. How do I reduce the risk? Do I have enough money left in my reserve? Do I have enough government bonds that I can sell and give my money later on to the depositor if somehow the car loan defaults or the home loan defaults, stuff like that? The third pillar in Basel is called market discipline. So the third pillar is about disclosure requirement. This is basically the bank needs to issue the financial statement. Now, what kind of company issues financial statement? Unless you're in the stock market, you don't have to issue financial statements, your balance sheet and income statement. However, in a financial industry under Basel III, every single commercial bank must and has to issue the financial statement to everyone publicly on their website and also in the stock exchange if they are there, so that people can look into these financial statements. They can look into their assets and liabilities and open up a deposit account, open a fixed deposit account. Now, if you tell me, ask me to deposit money in Sonali Bank, probably I will think two, three times because they've defaulted on their loans. And they have so many non-performing loans that we've discussed in chapter number, I think, 3, which I discussed in chapter 3. So there's a lot of non-performing loans in Sonali Bank. And about 7% of those interest hasn't been paid off. So that's a very concerning. So as an investor or as a person with savings, I would not save my money in Sonali Bank. Whereas if I go to EBL, they have a very, very low, one or two, less than 1% non-performing loan ratio. So I think that's a better bank to, you know, uh, save my money in. And that's a better bank to open up an FDR account or a fixed deposit account, stuff like that for a long, long time so that I can be safe and I can have a safe mindedness that, yes, my money will be safe. It's not going to go away anywhere. So this is why pillar 3 is extremely important. Disclosure requirements by bank. It establishes more transparency so that stakeholders can assess the position of a bank and identify the risk relating to the assets. So what kind of loan is this bank issuing? Sonali Bank has many, many risky loans to governments and to private businesses as well, whereas EBL has safe loans. Businesses have to qualify for these loans. You can't just get a 60 crore loan. You have to have a revenue of at least 100 to 200 crore. You must have no previous bank loans. Your LC must be all in order. You must have paid off all your money to your clients. Your creditor payments must be met. All these credit ratings, when they go up and the business is sound and solid, that's when loans issue, and that must go in the disclosure of the bank that yes, I am giving loans to good quality clients, so that the money will definitely come back and your fixed deposits are safe. So it identifies the risk relating to the assets and capital adequacy to meet probable losses. And the formal disclosure must be approved by the board of director and chief executive officer, CEO, and they will sign the financial statement. If you look at the handout on balance sheet, on the last page, you will see the signature of the CEO, the CFO, and also the auditing company. So when they sign them off, that means this is accurate. And now this disclosure can be used by investors to decide whether they will deposit money in this bank or not. Any question? Any question on pillar 3? Any
স্যার
question?
তার মানে এটা বেসিক্যালি
Please turn
একটা
off your mic. Your mic should not be turned on. There is a chat box. How many times do I have to mention? Please type the question in the chat box. Okay? There are 48 students in the class. Can't take the mic. Go to the chatting section, whoever it was. Any questions, guys? Pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3. Okay, I'm giving you time. Just leave your question there and then I'll come back to your question. So this is the 3 pillars of Basel. The first one is the minimum capital requirement. So this is basically the calculation of the capital adequacy ratio, the calculation of the leverage ratio. Does the bank have enough tier 1 and tier 2 capital in order to meet the risk-weighted asset? Also the bank's exposure. So this is pillar 1 of Basel. Pillar 2 is basically supervisory. You have to supervise your loans. You have to supervise your assets. You have to supervise your employees, your staff members. Do you have the adequate capital? Also risk management techniques. So what kind of risk management techniques? Are you issuing risky loans? How do you issue loans? How do you assess that the loan will be risky or not? So that falls under the supervisor. And after issuing that loan, is the client paying back your money? That goes all under the supervisory review process. I still did not get that question. Put it on the chat box. There's a chatting option. You can just put it there. Okay. And the third pillar is market risk, the most important one. This is the disclosure requirement, means you have to issue your balance sheet and income statement, your cash flow statement. They must be public. People must be able to see where the money of the bank is going. Okay. And this must be signed off by the board of director, chief executive, to understand, yes, that this financial report is legit. It must be signed off by the auditing company as well, assessing that, yes, that these balance sheet income statement are true and fair, and it goes with their transaction, and it is fair with the banking activities. It is safe for you to deposit money in this bank. Moving on. So for pillar number 2 and 3, there are two further ratios. Number one is liquidity coverage ratio. Number two is net stable funding ratio. This was given in the third handout in the last page. Now I'll discuss what these are. So let's discuss the first one, the liquidity coverage ratio. What is a liquidity coverage ratio? A liquidity coverage ratio is like it's for short term. It's for short term liquidity risk management. Now, in Fin 201 and maybe your accounting 01 as well, I think you've done a ratio, current ratio. Do you guys remember? Can anyone tell me what current ratio is? Type in the chat box, please. What is a current ratio? Tell me what a current ratio is. How do you calculate current ratio? Everyone sleeping. CA divided by CL. Okay, what else? Who can tell me what it is? What does it mean? Keep your mics off. Okay? Put it on the chat box. There's a chatting option. How do you calculate current ratio? Now everyone's browsing Google. Wow. Is there anyone who can say what is current asset by current? If you don't understand that, you won't understand what I'm going to say. Company's ability covers, yes, correct. That is good. Yes, current asset by current asset. Miraj, then the answer will be one. I don't think it's current asset by current asset. Current liability, yeah, that we can accept. How much liquid asset we have against short-term liabilities? Yes, that we can accept that. We do this ratio to understand company's current financial health. Yes, short-term or long-term. So the Sadia Tawassum. You said we want to uh, understand the company's current financial health. It is used to evaluate company's short-term liquidity to cover short-term obligation and short-term assets. Dividing company's assets by its liabilities. That's the answer. Everyone read Tanbir Hossain's answer. This is the correct answer. So basically what you do, it's not a relationship between assets and liabilities, Macho Chorkar. It will be the relationship between current asset and current liabilities. Similarly, for a bank, there is also a current ratio, and the bank's current ratio is called the liquidity coverage ratio. Go back to your slides. So the bank's current ratio is the liquidity coverage ratio for short-term 30 days liquidity risk management under stress scenario. So LCR is calculated by calculating the stocks of high quality liquid asset. Now, these are not risky loans. These are mostly your government bonds, your interbank deposits, your repurchase agreements. These are safe. These are liquid. You can convert them to cash within 24 hours or a couple of hours. And then you divide it by the net cash outflow over the next 30 days. Where do we get net cash outflow? Who can tell me where do we get net cash outflow from? Which statement? Which financial statement gives us net cash outflow? Who can tell me? Type in the chat box. Where do we get net cash outflow? Fin 201, accounting 201 students. I'm pretty sure you've done. Cash outflow. Where do we get this statement? From which statement do we get this figure? Very good. It's the cash flow statement. So they see the cash flow statement and they calculate all the cash outflow for the 30 days from your financing activities, your operating activities, and investing activities. You take the cash flow from there and then you divide the stock of high quality assets by your 30 days cash outflow, and it has to be greater than or equal to 100%. Has to be greater than or equal to 100%, which means you have enough liquid asset to meet your short-term debt, just like a current asset, but the ratio is slightly upside down. In current asset, no, I think it's the same. Yeah, it is the same. Current asset by current liabilities, current ratio, and over here you have liquid asset divided by cash outflow for 30-day period. For each and every 30-day period, the bank has to prepare this report and they have to submit it to the central bank. And for each 30-day period, this ratio has to be more than 100%. So, for example, in the exam, I will give you high quality liquid assets. It can be 30 million. Okay. So, let's do a practice math. Okay. Go to the chat box. I'll give you a question over there in the chat. So, high quality liquid asset, say, liquid asset will be 50 million. Okay. And net cash outflow will be, say, 35 million. Yeah, 35 million. Calculate LCR. Give me the answer, everyone. I'm giving you exactly 1 minute to make this calculation. Go to the chat box. I've given you guys a question. So just calculate the liquidity coverage ratio. Now, one point four, 143%. Yeah, you can either write 1.43 or 1.42, you can write the percentage amount. Yeah, just keep writing, okay? It should be 1.43. Let's just wait for more answers. You can either write 1.42, 1.43, or you can write 143%. Okay, I'll accept both. But don't put 1.43%. That will be incorrect. Okay. Okay, so going back. So the answer should be 1.43 or 143. My Mohammad Kais, your answer is wrong. Ad Hassan, answer is wrong. Okay. So the percentages, if you look into the chat, Mr. Muhammad Ahad Hassan and Kais Hussain has written 1.43%. That is wrong. It should be 143%. Okay? You can either write like 143% or 1.43. Just 1.43. 1.43 means you haven't multiplied it by 100, which is the ratio figure. Or you can keep it as a percentage figure, which is 143%. Okay? So Kais Hussain, Tanbir, and Ahad, please make sure you write it correctly. Okay? So this is how you have to calculate this ratio. I'll give you all the uh, informations that you need. Okay? Okay, the second one is net stable funding ratio. Now, do you guys remember the debt ratio in FIN 201 and accounting? Debt ratio. What is a debt ratio? Who can tell me what a debt ratio is? What is a debt ratio? Can anyone tell me what a debt ratio is? Total debt divided by total asset. That's the right answer. So total debt divided by total asset includes both your long-term and short-term assets. So the net stable funding ratio NSFR is for long-term structural liquidity. Liquidity coverage ratio is for short-term, for 30 days. And the second ratio, the net stable fund ratio, if you go to your slide, is for long-term. Okay? So we need to know whether this bank is safe in the long term as well. And this ratio is calculated by the amount available of stable funds divided by the required amount of stable fund. Now, if you look at ASF, the amount of stable fund are your long-term assets. Stable funds mean long-term stable assets or whatever it is. Stable funds means long-term assets, amount available. These are your long-term bank loans, your long-term government bonds, anything with a period of more than 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 15 years even, and divided by the required amount of stable fund, which is your long-term liabilities. Now, different banks have different figures. They have different kinds of loans. They have different kinds of long-term home loans, long-term company loans, term loans, fixed deposit loans, and stuff like that. And they have different kinds of term deposits as well at different rates, which is why it's very difficult to calculate this from the balance sheet. This is more of an internal calculation. In the exam, I will give you the amount of stable fund. Okay, available amount of stable fund I will give you. By available means it's the asset, what you have available right now, stable funds, long-term asset. Required amount, RSF, the required amount of stable fund are your deposits and your off-balance sheet items and every other thing that gives you enough liabilities to fund these loans. And this ratio also has to be more than 100%. And this tells us whether the bank is safe long term or not. So let's do a practice math. Okay, ASF is a 63 trillion, and RSF is say 59. Okay, trillion, right? Oh no, let's put this 70. And this is for bank A. So let's do one for bank B. For bank B, um, say ASF is 25 billion, 24 billion, and RSF is 19 billion. Calculate the NSFR ratio for both and comment who has better structural liquidity? So I put a question in the chat section, everyone. So check the chat section and look at the slide and please do this math for me. So for Bank A, the ASF is 63, RSF 70. And for Bank B, ASF is 24, RSF is 19. You need to calculate the NSFR ratio and comment who has better structural liquidity. I'm giving you exactly 2 minutes. Please calculate and write down the answer for both Bank A and Bank B. Bushra Jahan, better probably. Probably is not an answer. Has to be either yes or no. And why? Okay, getting answers. Type in your answers, please. Bank A 90%, Bank B. Okay, Bank B is better. NSFR for Bank B 1.2. Okay. Zarin Tasfia, your mark got updated. I found your quiz paper. I think I did check it. I just forgot to upload the mark last week. So I've already uploaded your mark. You can check it. Bank B has better structural liquidity. Yeah, good answers. Getting good answers. Very good. Very good. Very good. Bank B, Bank B. Farzana Zaman, Bank B. Yes, I understand. But why Bank B? You have to show me the calculation. A 90, B 126. Bank B would be better choice for its liquidity. Okay. So I think everyone has understood this math. It's pretty straightforward. And this is how I will ask question from LCR and NSFR. I will give in the NSFR calculation, I will give you the amount available. Okay, I'm not going to tell you the formula. You have to do the formula by yourself. You have to remember this. I will give the amount available of stable fund. I will give you the required amount of stable fund, and you have to calculate. So in my question for Bank A, I said 63 trillion available fund, and the required stable fund was 70. So you do 63 divided by 70, and it's 90%. And for Bank B, available stable fund was 24, and the required stable fund was 19. So you just divide ASF divided by RSF, and we get 1.26. And according to the Bangladesh Bank, we need 100% or more. Okay. So NSFR for Bank A is 63 divided by 70 equals to 90%. And for Bank B, NSFR B is 24 divided by 19, and you get 126%. And Bangladesh Bank, Bangladesh Bank requirement is 100% or more. So Bank B has better structural liquidity. So I've given the solution in the chat. Does anyone have any question? Please put it on the chat. Do not turn on your mic. Please don't turn on your mic. Does anyone have any question? Understanding what these are. Will short form work, or if I write ASR, just write ASR, RSF should be fine. ASF and RSF. There is nothing called ASR, it's ASF. Available of stable fund and required stable fund. Sir, LCR and NSFR both should be more than 100%. Yes, correct. According to the Bangladesh Bank, both these ratio needs to be above 100% because you must have enough fund to meet both your short-term assets and also finance your long-term assets. Then you have good liquidity position in the short-term and long-term as well. So this is a ratio for the pillar 2 and pillar 3, for a supervisory requirement to mitigate risk, and also the disclosure item for which the investors can get more confidence. Any questions? Write it on the chat, please. Sir, bank A calculation is on trillion, where bank B is in billion. Will it make any change to interpret? No, it will not. Because the question was, which bank has better structural liquidity? So clearly bank A has taken more risk. They have only required of 70, but they've already issued loans of 63. Now, that's a big problem. If you have issued too many loans and you don't have enough required deposits, you're in a big risk right now. You're going to be in trouble. You don't have enough money in the long run. All of a sudden, if your loans have defaulted, you are at least another 7 trillion behind, or in terms of ratio, 10% behind of the 100%. So you're going to be in big trouble. So billions and trillions are not the issue over here, because it can differ from country to country or bank to bank. But the question over here is the structural liquidity. Which one is better? So you have to calculate the ratio. And our ratio suggests that bank B, which is although billions, but it's much, much better. I have an extra 5 billion in my hand to meet my long-term debts when they fall due. So long-term assets, to finance my long-term assets when they fall due. So it's perfectly fine. So there's nothing wrong with the dollar amount. That won't affect your answer or strategical decision. Bangladesh Bank will always ask for 100% or more. They will not ask for a dollar amount. Any other question? Good question, by the way, Rahul. Any other question? If no other question, that was the last slide. If you go to the slide, our slide is complete. So that is all for this chapter. Topic 4 is complete, and so is your midterm syllabus. Any question on topic 4 that we just talked today? You just have to read through the slides. You have to understand what tier 1, tier 2 capital is, risk weight capital is, do the CAR ratio, and then read all the theories, read this math. You have to remember the formulas. I'm not going to give you the formulas. I will give you all the information. I'll give you all the information needed to make the calculation and then give me a decision. It can be for one bank, it can be for two banks. So if it's for one bank, then you have to tell me, based on the Bangladesh bank requirement, this is safe. Or based on Bangladesh requirement, this bank is better than that. So this is how I will ask you question in the quiz as well as the midterm. Now, if you look into the slide, for your quiz, the syllabus is up to this slide only, the solution. This is what I did up to last class. The solution of capital adequacy ratio. This will be slide number 17. Up to slide 17 for quiz 2. And whatever I've taught today, the pillar 2 and 3, pillar 2 and 3, NSFR and LCR, that's for your final. That's for next week. Okay, so that's not included for quiz 2. So just to confirm kindly, we do not have a lecture sheet for now. You don't have any lecture sheet for topic 4 because this lecture sheet follows, topic 4 also uses the lecture sheet of last topic number 3, which is the director's report. There's an LCR ratio, NSFR ratio, over there. You can just check that out for calculation and see how the banks calculated it, but that's mostly internal. There's a section in the handout regarding the Basel reporting. I wish we had a face-to-face class today, then I could just show the handout to you. I don't have the soft copy right now, it's in my office. Next class, it's going to be quiz and review, okay? So handouts 1, 2, 3, and slides 1, 2, 3, 4. So read every topic that I've discussed in the slides. Every topic in the slides, in each slide, is included for your midterm. Okay? And if there's something on the slide and not in the handout, then don't study it. I did not cover all the topics from the handout. I only covered certain topics in certain details. Okay, so you don't have to read everything. If you don't understand anything from the slide, that's when you open the handouts and read it. For topic number 4, there is no handout. Basically, you just have to read my slides and that is it. Okay. Any questions on the midterm? There will be 10 MCQs. Okay, 10 MCQs and 4 short question or math. Okay, I can give you 2 math, 2 short question, 1 math, 3 short question, up to me. Quiz and syllabus. This is I'm discussing. So quiz 2 is going to be topic 3 and 4. And quiz 2, topic 3 and 4, topic 4 up to slide number 17 only, which is your calculation of capital adequacy ratio. Slide number 17. If you look into the slides, it's up to this much, this slide over here. It's up to this slide, the calculation of the capital adequacy ratio. That's it. This is your quiz 2 syllabus. And for your midterm, topic 1, 2, 3, and 4, all the topics that I've discussed in the slides. You can either read the slides or you can open your handouts as well and read it from there. I will give you math, MCQ, and short questions. Same for quiz, same for just the same way I've taken quiz 1, I will take quiz 2. And for the midterm, it's going to be 10 MCQs and 4 short questions. And the short questions are like the ones that I've given in your quiz. I'll give you conceptual ones. I won't give you 10-page, 2-page, 3-page answers to write, okay? I'll give you very small explanatory answer. You have to give me the correct points and you'll get full marks. Any other question? If no question, I have to discuss the project. Any question on? I'll take the last 2 questions on quiz and midterm. Sir, what if CRAR is less than 10%? Bad, very bad. That means the bank is in a risky position. The central bank will now take further action against this bank. Either the bank has to issue more capital, or it has to basically reduce some of its loans. Moving on. Any questions on midterm and quiz? Okay, no questions for midterm and quiz. Go to the Google Classroom. Let me just open Google Classroom. I've uploaded the group project list. So there's an Excel sheet. So if you go to Google Classroom, if you look into my screen in Google Classroom, there's an Excel sheet. All you have to do is open up. There are different tables, You have to fill up your group number, ID, and your name. So one group has already filled up. Thank you very much, whoever this group is. Groups, don't write the group number. Do not write the group number. I will write the group numbers for you, okay? So leave this empty. Just write in your name and ID, okay? So go to this link and just fill up these Excel sheets. 6 members in each group, okay? So there will be 6 members in each group. So I think there are 45 students. So there will be extra 3 students. I will put the 7th member in other 3 groups, depending on whoever wants to take them. But for now, fill up 6 members in each group, okay? Fill up this Excel sheet, and I will give you the newspaper topic after the midterm. For now, just focus on your midterm, okay? You have time until next week, Tuesday, which is the 7th, to fill up this sheet. And right after you finished up filling up your sheet, I will give you the newspaper presentation topic. That's for 5%. That's for after the midterm. Clear? Any question on the group project? Any question on group project? You have access to the Excel sheet. So just click on the link and just fill it up accordingly, and use a laptop or a computer, because if you use smartphone, it might not work. So anyone who has a laptop, just you open up your laptop and then fill it up accordingly. Write down your name, write down your ID, and fill up your group. I will give you your newspaper topic. And I'll also give the final group project topic. That will be after the midterm as well. So focus on the midterm for now and the quiz. Okay, you guys have any other question? Any other question? Because I know it's only 5:20, but I'm a bit tired and also sad after yesterday, after the horrendous, horrible dream, the living dream that I saw yesterday, of our famous tigers, or cats or cubs or whatever you call them. Sometimes I feel like sending a letter to the Bangladesh government to refund me the part of my tax money that goes as salary to this cricket player. What is the painful when a feeling that they give me every time they go for playing, and they're using my tax money as their salaries to feed their food and stuff like that. So it would be nice if the government discloses what percent of the tax money is used, and that part of tax money be returned to us. And I hope you guys are also doing well after yesterday's match. It was a very difficult thing to see. Anyways, any question? By the way, people are leaving without giving attendance. I still have to take attendance. No question? No question? If no question, then I'm taking the attendance. So this is how we're going to do the attendance, okay? So I'm going to call out your name. And trophy is coming home, sir. Oh, okay. I think you are talking about the Langra World Cup. There's a World Cup for disabled people who don't have feet, who don't have hand. And maybe over there, if our cricket team goes, they'll probably bring the World Cup. Yes, you are right. Okay. So going back to the attendance. So for the attendance, I'm going to call out your names. Okay. And all you have to do is just go to the chat box and type in P like this. Okay. Go to the chat box and type in P. Only those people when I call out your name. Others remain silent. Don't type anything unless or until I've called your name. Okay. Let's go here. 366. Had a very long, very depressing day. Okay. Fin 401 attendance. Okay, I'm starting the attendance. Please remain quiet. Keep your mics on mute. Don't say anything. When I call out your name, go to the chat box and type in capital P. Okay? So I'm calling out the names: Omar, Tarek Aziz, Farzana, Nadia, Afjanul, Sadia Sultana Binti. Did I call out your name? I did not call out your name, Sadia Sultana. So don't say P now. Omar, Tarek Aziz, Farzana. Oh, it's Nadia Sultana. It's not Sadia Sultana Binti. Nadia Sultana. Afjanul and Muhammad Sadman Haq. Nadia Sultana present. Is Tarek Aziz also present? Farzan Akhtar Mimi not here. Oh, she's here. Yes. Farzan Akhtar Mimi is here. Nadia Sultana here. Afjanul here. Moving on. Muhammad Sadman, Ahad Hassan, Avijit Kumar, Shohid Hassan, and Sajjad Hossein Tanim. One, two, three, four. Sadman Haq. Muhammad Sadman Haq, are you present? Sadman Haq, not here. And four people are there. Saim Sakib, Rahul Rohit, Ryan Rahman, Abrar Hasnat, and Akhirul Islam. Oh, Mohammad Sadman is here. Okay. Saim Sakib, Ryan Rahman, Rahul Rohit, Abrar, and Akhirul, all present. Okay. Mahir is there. Atul Islam. Miraj Ahmed, Sherajus Sakia, Naif Musabbir, Ishtiaq Ahmed Opu, Mehnaz Zabin. Miraj. Okay, all five here. Very good. Tanbir Hossein, Sadia Sultana Binti, Sayyida Sadia Tawassum, Bushra Jahan, and Niamul Haq. Niamul, Tanbir Hossein, all present. Very good. Farzana Zaman, Rakib Hassan, Kaes Hossein, Alsad Arif, Intesar Maruf Apurbo. Is Rakib Hassan? He's here. Rakib Hassan is here. Okay, moving on. Abu Farhad, Muhammad Samir, Asif Zaman, Ariful Islam, Misbahul Hassan Likhon. Yep, all present. Very good. Moving on. Anaf Tahmid, Afra Sharaf Orpi, Muhammad Alamin, Masud Sharkar, Zarin Tashfia. Very good. All five here. Okay, moving on. Ridwan Fayaz, Sajid Rahman, Kausara Khond, Rami, and Aisha. Very good. Everyone is present today. Online class হলে সবাই ক্লাসে থাকি। খুব সুন্দর। All 45 present. Wow, first time in this semester. Okay, class, that is all for today. I hope you understood today's lecture. So next class is your quiz. Sunday is your midterm. Study hard, study well, and drink some orange juice and mango juice to sweeten your bitter feeling from yesterday. And pray for Bangladesh, pray for me, pray for yourself. Have a very good night and very good day. Thank you very much. I will see you next class. Goodbye. You can all leave the classroom now.